Brian, great to have you here today, mate. Really excited and pleased to have you on today. You own RG Property Solutions. People are always asking me as a broker, how do I invest in property? Where's the best places to buy? How do I make money on it? What's the best way? So naturally, I have to have you on today to ask you the questions. So people watching this, they can get an idea of what are the right things to do, So firstly, before we get into the details, tell me about yourself and what is it that you actually do?
Yeah, so firstly, thanks, Adam. It's obviously we mutually work with a few clients already of yours, and essentially what we establish as a business, what we try to create, what we do create, is an experience for people where they have a hands-free, off view of investing. So one thing that I recognised and made, early mistakes was trying to do it all myself in the past. You try and find the property, try and do the due diligence, try to run a family, try and run a business, and it was just too much. And so I sort of put together a business that I felt could benefit me at that time, and very much sort of moved into that and very much benefiting clients. So essentially enable them to invest in property, but without having to be involved in the whole headache of the process.
Yeah. So it's that hands-free approach that you offer. Would you say that's different from other people out there in the industry?
I think with the people in the industry, there's a lot of get-rich-quick schemes. I think a lot of people forget that properties is always and always should be viewed as a long-term game.
Yeah.
You get a lot of clever marketing, replace your income in a year, and do this. And the reality is, if you look at property in the long run, it's always going to come good. If you look at it wherever it drops, it always goes up and goes up above where it started.
Absolutely, and I think it's brilliant that you've already touched on about get-rich-quick schemes, because often on social media, especially today, don't you see a lot of certain people within the industry saying, come on this course, within 3 months you'll be a millionaire, and I've generally spoken to people that think like that, and it worries me. So I'm sure we can get on to more details on that later anyway. But if you could share with me your personal journey, how did you get into property in general and offering that hands-free approach to investors? Where did it start?
So finances, I've been around property for over a decade. So buying my own property when I was 21 and always been within property. Background is actually in finance. So I've been a mortgage advisor, and obviously yourself. I'm well out the game now. Adam's your man. That's why I use him. But you've also got I've done brokering. I've also obviously a qualified financial advisor.
Yep.
So the finance background I've got, and for me, I had a problem where absolutely by no means am I this big wealthy person or trying to be. I am just myself. I'm a family man, and the situation is I had surplus cash. I need to do something with it, and for me, property was something that I've always had an interest in. I did enjoy watching the Homes Under the Hammer, and watching the YouTube videos, and I thought I'm going to give that a go. And it's something that resonated with me quite well. I really liked the view of taking a property, finding properties, and naturally I like a bit of a deal, and if I can get a bit of a negotiation. I've done a lot of self-development, self-training, a lot of experience in networking, to be honest, networking, negotiating, because for me, I get a buzz from it. I feel alive for doing it, and that's sort of what pushed me into that. And I thought, well, you know what? I love doing it for myself. Touch wood, I've done it successfully for myself. So why not go and offer the service to others? And that's pretty much where this, this has come to.
It's really interesting what you say there about getting the buzz, because I can completely relate to that in my world as well. There's nothing better than a buzz of receiving a mortgage offer through from a lender for a client. When you think, or the client think it's not possible, but you get it and you're just like, yes, it's the most satisfying thing ever, isn't it? So super interesting. So that's how you got into the property industry. Did you have any particular mentors or role models? I know you've mentioned watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So who's that? There's a lot of big names out there.
Yeah, so let's be crystal clear. I'm not someone that hasn't self-trained. So I've got experience through being around property in 21, but I've mentored under, I'm sure you won't mind me name dropping, so Jamie York, and the Aspire Property Group. They really looked after me, Dan Buchan, Sam Spencer. They really taught me I think the view is how do you get to here in the quickest possible way? And I think the best way to do that is to learn from people's mistakes and to utilise their experience, their expertise.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that I always want to be one of the dumbest in the room when I go to these sort of programs.
Yeah.
And it isn't just property. I look at self-education, I look at speaking and things like that.
Yeah.
Always just looking to better myself. And overall, I think that enables and allows me to give a better experience.
Yeah.
Because if you're coming from somewhere where you've been there, you didn't really know what the hell you were talking about, you're quite inexperienced. I think that goes back to the get-rich-quick schemes. And, when you talk about what's the difference, the reality is I've made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I've wasted a lot of money, historically. So I went and taught myself. I've spent a lot of money to self-educate alongside my experience. Now put in the position now where I'm now successful at what I do, and I'm now able to facilitate others and help them become successful, but without the headache of having to do and make the mistakes maybe I made in the past.
That's it. I mean, you said there, you spent a lot of money educating, self-teaching yourself. I mean, I'd love to know how much you've spent, and also, what specific educational opportunities did you go to get that knowledge? Was it courses? What was it?
Yeah. So financially, I'm not really embarrassed by money. I talk to my clients, investors, and I've probably done 50, 60,000 on self-education. Okay, and that excludes my diplomas and financial. It doesn't matter, but I would spend triple that on myself. I'd spend up quadruple that because I believe the best person investing is yourself. Because if you understand your tools, your trade, you can give the best value. Now, I'd say the most valuable things I've learned are probably the nuggets that you talk about on these courses and being around sort of mentors and people that are 10 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the ability to stack a deal. I know we always speak about it, the amount of people that go on property courses, they go to an estate agent and they go, I've got £20,000 off the asking price. And you look at the comparison prices, which is actually what a surveyor does.
Yep.
And the price was actually 20,000 below that anyway. It's like, congratulations, you've just paid the market price.
Yeah.
And it's the knowing, putting the surveyor head on. Understanding comparisons for me was a really, really headache thing to do. And I think there's a lot of people who don't know how to do it. The reality is if you're going to buy a property and you're looking to make money out of property, you need to make sure that you're buying something at the right price.
Yeah.
You're going to be putting 30, 50, 60 grand into something. It has to be the correct price at the front end. And that's not what the estate agents are going to mark the property up 5-10%. How do you cut through it? And understanding the process is how you do that.
Yeah. So that's it. It's through your knowledge and experience that you've been able to do that for clients now, essentially. It never ceases to amaze me when people think, they've been on a 2-day course, 1-day course, whatever, I've learned all this information. And then you tell them this is information that's out there anyway. It kind of, I feel, and we'll come on to it in more detail later, I feel that sometimes these courses, certain courses from individuals can be just to generate money for making courses.
Of course they are.
There's a lot of that out there. But I mean, in terms of helping your clients, what's the main service? How do you help them?
Yeah.
I'm a client. I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
What can you do for me?
So the first thing we need to understand is what your goals, what you're trying to establish. I need to understand what's important to you.
Yeah.
Because property investing is not about, or property investment as a long-term game. Yeah. If you come to me and say, Ryan, I want to make this much money in a year and I want all my money out, and go and work with someone else.
Yeah.
I don't have to work with everyone because I want to work with people that I can add my value to, that I can help.
Yes.
So the first thing we need to establish is what are you trying to understand? What's the end goal for Adam? What does Adam want? So, well, Ryan, actually, I'm working 60 hours a week. I'm trying to manage my family. I'm at a holiday for 2 years because I'm running a business.
Yep.
I can't trust anyone to come in. Quite frankly, I'm going crazy. There's a lot of my investors that I deal with are in that boat, and my service is basically now enable them, RG Property Solution, to say, right, well, Ryan, look, I've got the surplus cash. You have the time, you have the expertise, you have the experience. Can you help me build the portfolio?
Yeah.
That basically means that I go out, I do the due diligence, I find the properties that meet the strict criteria we set. I use my experience, I use my network to find the properties on and off market. And essentially, I bring the package deal to you. Another big headache that a lot of people have is, oh, well, that's cool, but now what if they don't pay? Who am I going to rent the property through? you know. And another one is, well, who's the mortgage broker? I don't know anything about buy-to-let mortgages. You know, I've always run successful, I don't know, IT companies. And who's solicitors? Well, I'll go compare. So what I wanted to do is to bring in a hands-free experience where we've got the network of solicitors. We've got, like yourself, Adam, you know, we've got the brokers who know their stuff, who whole of market, you know. I had a broker myself, and that's why I was keen to team up with you, because you know your stuff 100 times better than what I ever did.
Thank you.
You know, and on the building side, well, what if it needs a new kitchen, Ryan? What if it's a bit tired? Well, the deal's absolutely fantastic. So you'd be crazy to turn it down. But Ryan, I'm running a successful multi-million-pound business. I haven't got time to fit a kitchen and a floor. I don't know my builder. Well, just let us look after it.
Who do I trust?
You've got it. You've got it. And we've built a very, through kissing a lot of frogs. You know, we've got a really tight team to enable, again, the hands-free turnkey experience on the back end. But from my perspective, they're guys that I trust with my own portfolios. That demonstrates how much I trust in the team that I use.
Absolutely. I think team is absolutely critical, isn't it? You've mentioned there, you know, that you can kiss a lot of frogs, but having that team around you where you know, like, and trust each other, you work together on a frequent basis, you're having communication daily, you know, in my line of work as well, you know, it's those go-to people, isn't it? Okay, yeah, they're good with this kind of conveyancing, they're great on bridging.
Too right.
This lender's great for bridging, this lender's better on HMOs. So it's just knowing your team, isn't it? And I guess, you know, what I'm hearing is this is going to be a benefit to those busy people that want to get time back, they want to get cash flow. But tell me in your own words, what's the benefit of using you?
So I think the benefit of using me, if I look at the pain situation, I now get to build a property portfolio which enables me to build long-term wealth, to get out of my job, to maybe reduce them hours. That's quite a big thing why people come to me. I've got children. I want to build a legacy for them. If I'm not here, Ryan, it's all well and good running a business or being on a very high income in the cities, but what if I'm not here? Who's going to provide that income? Who's going to provide that financial support? You know, and that's what property enables. But, well, I'm already working 60 hours. How do I go first and foremost to get and do all the viewings? How do I know what the property's worth properly, off comparisons? How do I know if I'm getting a good deal? What if there's 10 offers? I mean, it's not so much now. It's a fantastic time to offer now because there's not so many offers.
Absolutely.
So we're getting really cracking deals now. But, you know, well, if you don't have the connects in the estate agents, do they take you seriously when you give your offers? What's to stop them choosing you over a first-time buyer as an investor? Why would they take your lower price? You know, and it's the ability to have that network and twist the deal slightly in the favour of the investor. And also the facilitation of, right, I've got the house, and as I mentioned there, or the flat or the apartment, whatever you invest in, is, right, I've got that now. Well, now I've got a list as long as my arm to do, because I've got to get the estate agent, solicitor stuff. What the hell's this memorandum of sale thing, you know? So it just takes all of the jargon out of it. And it enables them to just focus on what's important to them. And that's why they use the service, so they can just go and have their weekends with their family, go and do the things they want to do, focus on their business, but at the same time, while that money's sitting there in the bank doing absolutely nothing for them, get it working for them into something such as property.
Absolutely. Great information there, you know, and I think that's what a lot of people want, isn't it? A way that they can just reap the benefits without actually having to have the knowledge and experience themselves or do the hard work themselves. You know, they want that package solution. I mean, you know, you're primarily based in the Peterborough market. Why Peterborough?
Peterborough is, I just want to re-stress, we specialise in the Peterborough market. Obviously, we can facilitate other areas. So we don't go, oh, we only do Peterborough. You know, we get people to do South Yorkshire, all the way up to the North East. So we can absolutely facilitate, I want to be clear. But Peterborough at the moment is a real hot spot. So there's certain things that as an area to invest, something or a mistake I used to make was look at the yields.
Right.
And what you naturally do is you go all the way up north.
And
you go, that's a brilliant spot. Why is that? Well, it's going to pay me 8%. It's going to pay me 9% or 10% on the yield. And when you actually look at what that is in form of rent, well done, you earn another 50 quid, 60 quid. You're never going to get rich quick on a buy-to-let scheme. It's a long-term game. Property is a long-term game, as we said. But absolutely, it's a passive income. You don't need to be involved. And why Peterborough basically is that there's key fundamentals in which, as an investor, I now know give you the best chance of capital growth. Capital growth is about 80% of the property wealth. So when I talk about capital growth, I'm talking about a property going from 100,000, goes up 10%, it's now worth 110,000.
Yep.
Yeah. Whereas you're talking about 2 or 3% yield extra,
Yeah.
but that property is worth, I don't know, 50 grand. It goes up 10%. Well, why don't you've made yourself 5 grand? And that's what you mean. And long term is where you make your money in property. And for Peterborough, the fundamentals that it talks about, I know I've gone a bit off piece there, but I think it's important to just go back to why I come to the conclusion is the capital growth. The capital growth opportunity there is huge, and the rental yield's actually really, really good for where it's located. So, why capital growth? Population. So where there's population, you're always going to get a demand. Now, the average in the UK, 6.6% in the last 10 years, Office of National Statistics. Peterborough, 17.6.
Wow.
One of the fastest growing cities in the whole of the UK in population. Transport links. So we need to think, well, just because these guys are maybe wanting to get a little bit out of the city, they need to get back into the major cities. So you're connected to London within 40 minutes, Manchester, Newcastle, Edinburgh, Brighton, Birmingham, Leeds, direct route trains.
Wow, okay.
A1, parallel to the city. So you're talking about getting in and out of the city, closest airport within an hour's reach. So it's fantastically commutable. We then got major employers, UK Passport Office, you've got IKEA, you've got Lidl's got a massive sort of distribution warehouse there. So with respect to the employment side of things, there's huge employers. Regeneration. So take a place which is really rough. I'm not saying Peterborough's rough, let's be clear, I'm just trying to give an example. Put a load of money behind it, all of a sudden it becomes very smooth and very opportunist. You know, a lot of people want to live there. Look at Manchester. It's huge. People go, Manchester, fantastic place to invest, but has it not had its time? Birmingham, you know, Manchester, you can sometimes buy places that are the price of London now, you know. And in Peterborough, they've got planned up to a £600 million regeneration.
Wow.
£38 million around the £38 million around the train quarter. £120 million in the Quay, which is already done. Hilton, you've got a brand new government building going in there. Business rates, one of the lowest business rates. So one of the highest successful startup rates in the UK. Schools really good, amenities, there's loads going on in the city. So it's got everything that ticks the fundamental box. And for that, property prices are still sitting between realistically 160 to 200.
Wow.
And they're still giving you a yield between 6 to late 7s.
Wow.
And yet you're only 30 minutes away from Milton Keynes, which is delivering a 4 or 5%, which you're paying 300,000.
Wow. So yeah, wow, absolutely mind-blowing stuff there about Peterborough. Always makes me smile when I think of the passport office as well. So lovely that you mentioned.
Everyone remembered not getting their passport, and well, the scare. We've got to get out of Peterborough otherwise. But they employ how many people? You know, the government office around the corner, and we just forget about that. Massive passport office ain't going out of there. We need to get holidays. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Absolutely. I mean, look, there's a lot of people out there doing similar thing to yourself.
Yeah.
What makes you different from them? Why should people come to you?
So I want to say this, why come to me? I basically promote my value. People can make their own decisions whether they work with me or not. I think the massive thing I need to promote, and I really, 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 coming from a regulated background, you know, from the finance background, I really wish property was regulated.
Agree.
Because there are so many rogues out there. There's so many people, and to be actually compliant in finding properties and finding a solution for people, like packaging properties and trading properties, you should actually be compliant. Now, when you talk about compliance, the first thing anyone should ask, work with me or not, I don't care. You know, and that's not me trying to be the big I am, I'm not, I'm just being honest. But please just say to the first person, are you compliant? Can I see evidence? It's like going to your mortgage broker and them not showing you their CMAP, you know, if they ask for it, show me you know what you're talking about, show me you've gone through that training. Compliance, you should be ICO registered. You should have a complaint process. What if you've got a complaint? Who are you going to go to? Oh, the guy that you found on Facebook and he's got no remorse. He doesn't really care, you know, and yeah, you should obviously be registered for anti-money laundering checks. You know, it's a lot about it that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that in itself should stand out. I would probably say 70% of people you won't be working with. It's scary because you hear so many people doing about it, but there's so many people who go on these courses and they just jump and start trying to sell deals. By law, you should be trading compliantly.
Yeah.
I think the second thing, as I said, is very much, I get a lot of people's pain because I've been there. I've run businesses where I've had run successful businesses, and the same situation. I had that surplus cash. I know how it feels to try and want to do something. You know, I've got my two girls. You know, and for everything I do is for I've got my wife, my two girls. You know, even Adeline. And for me, I didn't grow up with loads and loads, and for me to be able to provide for them, for their futures. You know, to put that stability there, and for my wife Beth, who does a cracking job with the girls. So I relate to people who are probably similar nature to myself. And I hope that comes across as trustworthy and sincere, and I think that's really what I'm trying to get across. I am what I am, and one thing I always say to everybody is, I don't work with everybody, and that's not about me trying to be a big shot, but if I can't help or can't add my value, and I think hopefully that demonstrates I'm not some cheesy, sleazy salesman who's just trying to take your money. You know, any fees that anyone pays me, if I don't deliver within a certain period of time, I give them their money back. I waste my own time. Because I'm that confident, I know what I do, and I know I do things right. You know, and I hope that gives people the confidence and the surety that they're dealing with someone who is a family man, just like you, and one of your mates down the pub, I'm big on my footy and all these kind of things. But on the other side, I'm a serious businessman, and I know when business needs to be done, I deliver. It's as simple as that.
Good stuff, good stuff. And it's absolutely echo the thoughts about regulation, regulated industries.
Oh, it's horrible. I wish it. You'd have 70, but it's not even that. I mean, we'll leave it there. It's a real bugbear of mine because, as I said, I know from a regulated background, I know how much more confidence it would give the market. And like you said, it'd boot out. You look at the EPCs that are coming in, getting rid of all the rogue landlords. Brilliant, get rid of them. Because don't get in a property if you're not going to look after the back end people.
Exactly that.
Because people still have homes, they have families themselves. It's not all about making money. It's important, let's be clear, but it's about doing things for the right reason.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why property? You know, people probably ask you, why should I invest in property? Why not Bitcoin, stocks and shares, get a pension? Why property?
And again, I go back to my qualification. I was batting that side. You know, get your stocks, get your pensions in place. And there's, I want to stop here first, before I start rubbing it on, because I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, as far as 23, I'm a qualified. Got the qualification for financial advisor, but I'm no longer a financial advisor.
Not regulated and authorised.
You've got it. So I'm not going to sit here saying do this, do that, because I'm not very clear. But I have a very good understanding for obviously my background. The stocks, obviously, they are absolutely on the floor at the moment. They're extremely volatile. That's factual because it's based on confidence in the market. Of course, property is as well, but property doesn't drop off 40, 50%. You know, now if people go, oh well, it can do. Well, if in doubt, zoom out. Go back and look at property in the last 200 years and point out to me where it dropped 30%, 40% because someone put something in on a tweet. Bitcoin, based on what rules? You know, it was get some Bitcoin, it's virtual, it's going to take over the currency and the bubbles pots. It's very volatile. Pensions, again, phenomenal tax advantages. And again, I'm not giving advice. You absolutely can get phenomenal tax advantages.
Just factual, isn't it? I mean,
However, majority of the fund managers, so you put your money into the pension,
the wrapper,
the tax efficiency. But the reality is, the fund managers, a lot of them don't actually outperform. If you actually look at stocks, they don't actually. Their performance year upon year doesn't actually beat the index, which is just following the most successful companies, and yet they never forget to take their money. So even if you're running at, maybe they lost you 5%, you know. And also the inflexibility, sometimes people don't like that. You know, you can have your pension at 55. So, well, what if I do really fantastically well? If I work my backside off in my business, what if I want to enjoy my young life? What if I want to take my kids away? It's all in your pension. I think with property, it gives the facility to cash flow. So it gives the facility to replace that income to get you out of the hours. Absolutely. But it gives that long-term wealth. It gives that long-term stability. One massive thing that property does over any of them is leverage. Go to a stock market and go to the manager, go to the guy running the fund and go, by the way, can I have that fund, but I'm only going to give you 25% for that, and I want 100% of the revenue from that though. It's a dream, but that's what property is.
Yeah.
You put 25% in or 30%, depending on interest rates at the moment.
Or however the numbers work.
That's it. A good deal's a good deal. It doesn't matter how it does, but obviously it's really important that the deal stacks. You're getting positive cash flow. So yes, you're getting positive cash flow, but don't forget that you're putting only 30% in to buy this thing.
Yeah.
The lender only wants the interest payment, if you're interest only, depending on what's recommended, and you get the rest. But you're getting the rest on 100% of the value. They're not going, give us 25% of that, or you get 25% and we take 75%. Capital appreciation. As the property goes up, your debt stays stagnant if it's interest only. So as a result, you're getting wealthier and wealthier. The bank's just charging you that, and yet you've only still paid 25% for this thing. Leverage is huge. It's not available in the others, and it enables you to facilitate more properties, facilitate more appreciation, more cash flow, and overall more wealth.
Absolutely, and that's why we can have a fantastic partnership together. I mean, many clients, they don't actually need mortgages, do they? But it's that using that benefit of leverage, like you've just said, to get the most out of it.
Absolutely.
And buy more properties, and use more leverage. So, absolutely really good information there. How do you know, like a client comes to you, how do you know they're ready to invest? How do you know if they're ready, willing, able, understand what's going on? How do you?
And it goes back to the understanding the goals and the objections, or the objectives, should I say? Because objections sometimes can be people to be uncomfortable or not sure, and not everyone's right for everyone. But for me, it goes back to how do you know? I think the person makes the decision themselves. I present the options, I provide the solutions. This is what I can do as a business. We can enable you to achieve these goals, and we sit down and we work that out. And this is how we're going to do it, which then suits you best. Now, they might turn around and go, Ryan, I'm not liking this, doesn't work for me. In that case, that answers your question. They're not ready, or it's not right for them. And it's not about property having to be right for everybody. Majority of people I talk, I'm not going to lie, the majority of people I talk to will want to work with me because they've sat down with me, because they've usually been introduced by someone, they've been referred in, or people follow me on the social media. I really love putting my videos up. But you get the idea that they've reached out to me, so that they're already interested in that respect. So generally speaking, I hope, as I said, you get what you see. I am myself. I'm no different if you see me in this podcast, in my videos, or you saw me out with my family, and if people resonate with that and there's trust there, and it goes back both ways, I need to resonate with the people I'm working with, then they generally make their own decisions, and that's really important to me. I don't force anyone to corners. You make your decisions. It makes no difference to me as long as you do what's right.
Absolutely, that's it. It's got to be right for the client, hasn't it? So, somebody watching this now, they're seeing this video, thinking, well, I like what I see. Where should they start? How do they make contact?
Simply, just basically, I think within the YouTube or wherever we put this out, we'll obviously put a link there that will give direct access to my diary. And the first steps is we're just going to have a 15-minute chat. It's a free chat. I'm not signing you up. You're not coming on board. There's no pressure. I don't have to work with you. You don't have to work with me. It's just does what you're trying to achieve. Can I facilitate that? Can I help you with that? Which I'm very certain I can with majority of people, but not everyone, as we said. So it's about just having a chat, 15 minutes. Can I make you value? And then the next step from there is we then set up an actual formal, a bit longer, where we can talk about them goals and objectives, what you're trying to achieve, what's the right property, who's your end user. And again, that's very much where I'll guide and handheld, and make sure that they're looked after. And for those that want that hands-free experience, that I understand what it is they're looking for, how involved they want to be. Majority of people I work with, they don't want to be involved at all. But brilliant, just let me get on with what I do best. And you focus on you, and I will focus on getting out the outcome for you.
Perfect, fantastic. We touched on it earlier in the interview. What's your view on property courses? I'd love to know.
It depends on who you go with. I know fantastic. I mentioned Spire Property Group. Fantastic. I'm absolutely not going to doubt them. I got a lot of education from them guys. I speak very highly of like Jamie York, Dan, Sam, phenomenal guys, and they're genuinely really lovely guys as well. I'm not going to name certain people, but they are horrendous people. I know property gurus who pay people to do testimonials.
Wow.
I've heard of property people who are in trouble with the law.
Wow.
Yeah,
They
by
don't put that on social
facilitating.
media.
No, of course they don't. And promising to replace incomes. And let's be clear, property can replace your income in a year.
Wow.
The we call it the unicorn or that mega deal absolutely can happen. It's evidence. But what they don't promote is the 99.9% of the people it doesn't happen for. Now,
Right,
you have to be the
yeah.
1% sometimes. You have to give it a go.
Yeah.
But for some people to facilitate, learn to talk, right? To facilitate the whole thing, maybe they don't want to take that huge, massive plunge. Maybe they just want to dip their toe in the water first, give it a go. Maybe we'll get a couple and see how it goes, And property courses are, I think it's just been pushed out by a lot of people. It goes back to like property deal finding and stuff like that, People that are experienced in property realise, well, if I train people and tell people how I've been successful and train them how to do it, I can make money off them as well.
In terms of Peterborough, are there any particular current trends or property types, whether that's HMOs or standard 3-bed semis? What's the trend in Peterborough at the minute?
I think HMOs have always been successful in Peterborough.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the clientele historically have been encouraged Eastern European.
Yep.
And a lot of them will come over, do their work and go home. That's quite common. They're quite comfortable to do the share to share, but there's always been a consistent buy-to-let market there.
Yeah.
And even more so now that the rents are obviously where they are and the yields we're talking about.
Yeah.
So the reason that people, just to differentiate for people that don't know, a HMO is obviously where you rent out a house on a room-by-room basis. I know you know, but for those who maybe don't.
Yeah.
Or maybe rent it out on a night-by-night basis, like a serviced accommodation. But these schemes or these things aren't called, they're what I call an active income. They're not passive. You need to, A, have someone that's ridiculously good at doing HMOs, because they can't be with a general letting agent, because they're A, they don't do them because they're too much aggro, or B, they're rubbish at them.
Yeah.
So it's very, very hard to find someone. Secondly, it's a lot more volatile. So a lot of people like general buy-to-lets. They will not cash flow as much as a HMO is getting sold to a serviced accommodation, but be consistent. And over time you build consistency. You buy one property, two property, three property. And that's what I stress, that property, especially buy-to-lets, boring old buy-to-lets, I love them. Why? Because my portfolio, I'll probably get a call once a quarter. Last one, Ryan, there's a wasp nest. Brilliant, can you sort that out? Yes, £108. Cool. And there's a lot of people now standing out and saying, oh, buy-to-lets don't work, basic buy-to-lets don't work. Well, actually, the reason that a lot of buy-to-lets don't work now is because the properties were in their own personal names. The government changed the rules. No one fortunately that. And obviously higher interest rates, but the reality is interest rates were historically low. And people were
absolutely
cake and eat it. It's not normal to be 2%, as I know you absolutely know. So
it's certainly not normal.
we're back to high interest rates, but again, if in doubt, zoom out. They'll come back down, and then we're back cash flowing £200, £300, £400 per property. It doesn't make you a millionaire in one. That's what I'm saying. It's about portfolio building, but it allows you not to be involved. And for Peterborough, there's a real core there for buy-to-lets. Standard, boring, consistent delivering.
But that's what it is, isn't it? In most things, it's standard, boring, and consistent. Now, how do you stay on top of like the latest trends? I mean, you talked about, serviced accommodation, all of that. How do you stay up to date with all of that?
Well, in my network, I've got people that offer serviced accommodation. So for those investors that do want to be a bit more creative, a bit more risky with their portfolio, it's not for me to say that's right or wrong. That's for them. That boring budget, that's my personal view. That's how I love to run my own portfolios. But for me, I want my time spare. I want that spent with my girls and my wife, enjoying ourselves. But some people like to be involved, and I can facilitate that as well. I have people in my network that. So the common trends at the moment, like I say, HMOs, they've always been about. With the bills, cost of living, there's a lot of landlords getting out of HMOs at the moment.
I can imagine if they're bills in.
They're making losses. Because they're covering the bills. So a lot of people turn to stay on. And there's a lot of people obviously turn to sort of service accommodation, and I've brought someone within my network to facilitate that. So there is a strong contractor market in Peterborough. So for those that maybe want to rent it out on a night by night to contractors, Airbnb, whether that works or not in Peterborough on a night by night, generally you tend to focus more on contractual. But again, I brought a specialist in that field because it's not the field I expertise in. But I want to have another string to the bow for my investors. So if they do want a little, maybe we go one or two on the serviced accommodation. Yeah, I've got that facility for you. No problem.
Okay, fantastic. Loads of great information there. I guess, you know, a client, they come and see you today. What's the timeline? How long does it take before typically they get the keys to their property?
Oh, I guarantee a property in 90 days.
90 days, wow.
Yeah.
That's...
So I want to be clear, I'm not about going online, rushing into the property. I want that. I'm not becoming motivated by it. That's the mistake I used to make.
Yeah.
You know, when I used to not invest properly, you know, before I built the business. I'll be motivated. I really want that property, and I'll get in bidding wars.
Yeah.
I'm not living there. That's about to me. That's cool. I'll speak to you because the deals are done in the follow-up.
Yeah.
So my first objective is, well, I need to understand what the goals are, and then I need to make sure that I achieve the maximum of that goal to hit all key areas that we agreed. And a lot of that is about getting a property at a reduced rate on the correct comparison price. That takes time.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to invest in property and you're going to be putting in 25%, then be prepared to wait for 3 months because we're going to do it properly. We're not going to rush this thing.
Yeah.
This is a long-term goal.
But you could have been a millionaire in 3 months.
That's it. Don't forget that. Go and give the money.
So I had to put that in.
Go and give that money to the guru, and you'll replace that income for free in a year. Look, but the reality is, I say to people as a business, because I want to be held accountable, and I say, look, if I don't deliver in 90 days, you get your money back. I've wasted 90 days. I've wasted 3, and I'm really, really, really particular with my time. I'm on it with my time. When I say I deliver, I'll go and do it. I'll just crack on because I've got to facilitate people I work with, but I've also got to facilitate my own life. And for that, it requires me to get on with my job and deliver 90 days or you get your money back. There's no risk at all. And there's no, we don't keep, you know, money, we have separate things. We've got ombudsmen, as we said, in place, etc. So there's no risk to anybody. The biggest risk to working with me is sitting your money or getting your money out of an account for 90 days. That it's only there to cover the holding fee, by the way, but for 90 days, there's getting 2 or 3%. You know, people are excited that their interest is 4 or 5% now.
Yeah.
Inflation's running at 8-9%. So
well, published figures.
Exactly, not real inflation, so you're losing money anyway.
Yeah.
So within 90 days, I'll deliver. And I can assure you I'll deliver. And I'm confident because I do deliver already. And I know what I do. But if I don't deliver, there's nothing you lose. I've wasted 3 months of my time, not yours.
That's fantastic. I mean, and that leads into our final question, really. I mean, delivering. Can you share any success stories with us for clients that you've worked with? You know.
Yes, I've got sample deals. So anyone who gets in touch with me, you know, following this, and at any time, I'll always send on multiple things. So you've obviously got the perspective of the business that shows deals that we've, you know, some deals we've done, a couple we've achieved, but at the moment we're achieving property reductions between 10 and 20% below the market value. Okay. Now, every property is different. I'm not going to have someone come up to me and say, I want all my money out in one deal. It's called a unicorn. They do exist, but if they come across, I will absolutely deliver. You know, I've delivered one not too long ago where we had a facility where pretty much all the money was able to almost be pulled out of the whole thing, so it didn't cost them anything because I managed to get such a discount up front. I've had one recently where a surveyor's gone out and said, why is the property so cheap? Well, and I had to go back and explain that. But on the other side, you know, getting 10-15% off a value of a property, you're already quids in. Even if you get 10% off, which is still a cracking discount. And a reminder, I'm not talking 10% off what the estate agent says it's worth. And I keep drumming on about that. I think it's a mistake people make. What are the things sold for in the area? I'm getting 10% off that.
Yeah.
So they're already 10% up. So if you're looking at a typical, as we said, 10% on 160,000.
Yeah.
16 grand discount.
Yeah. So then they'd be paying 16k below that.
Below the asking.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the market value could be what, 200, say?
Well, that's based on a 160, the sort of discount they'd be getting off the back end. So yeah, you get 144. But the point I'm making is that anyone who works with me, they'll be getting genuinely good deals. But they'll be getting someone who knows what they're talking about, who's experienced, who delivers, someone who genuinely cares, and someone who's not interested in working with, you know, the masses. He wants to provide a service and build long-term relationships, and that's very much the game that I'm in. It's not about get rich quick, replace your income in 3 months. You know, it's let's work towards what you want to achieve and do it together. In partnership, and for me, I'll absolutely deliver with whoever I work with. Guarantee it.
Fantastic. So, I mean, in summary, there, come and work with Ryan. You know, if you're looking for to build your portfolio over the long term, sustainably, don't come if you're McDonald's to millionaire in 3 months.
Absolutely.
Perfect, perfect.
Well, like I say, I could probably get you lots and lots and lots and lots of cheap properties up north.
Yeah.
I can send you up the northeast,
Yeah.
you know, and I could probably buy you a load of 50 grand properties, but they're not going to be worth a lot in 10 years potentially, you know, and yeah, it's like I said, I can source out of Peterborough, like I said, but it's understanding the key fundamentals and what people want to do, but I'm not some sales guru, I don't claim to be, I'm not some phenomenal expert who's going to replace your income in a year.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's going to help consistently build growth and long-term wealth for you to allow you to do what matters most and more important to you, such as, like with myself, spend time with the kids, reducing your work hours, building the legacies, these kind of things that are more important to people.
Ryan, thank you for your time today.
Nice. Thanks.
Pleasure to have you on, mate.
And you.
Thank you so much. Take care.